Blue Origin is landing on the moon in August 2025. SpaceX? Not until 2026 at the earliest. How did Jeff Bezos quietly outmaneuver Elon Musk in the lunar race? While everyone watched Starship test flights, Blue Origin locked in their launch date, a full year ahead. SpaceX needs 16 fuel transfers in orbit just to reach the moon. Blue Origin, one simple launch, straight there. No complex refueling that could fail. But here's what nobody's talking about. SpaceX is building a 50-meter lunar skyscraper. Blue Origin chose a compact cargo truck. Two completely different strategies. Which approach will actually work? And what does this mean for NASA's timeline to put humans back on the moon? Let's dive right in. The truth hit NASA's budget documents like a bombshell. May 30th, a date that changed the entire lunar race forever. Buried deep in those fiscal year 2026 papers, SpaceX's timeline just collapsed. Their critical fuel transfer test, delayed until late 2026, that's the moment Starship either proves it can refuel in space or fails spectacularly. Blue Origin saw this coming. While everyone watched SpaceX's test explosions, they quietly locked in August 2025, a full year ahead. The documents revealed something shocking. NASA's betting on two completely different strategies. One company chose the impossible, the other chose precision. What NASA didn't expect? Overwrite Sentin, Blue Origin's secret weapon, was about to crush SpaceX's master plan. The death trap SpaceX built for themselves? 16 fuel transfers in the vacuum of space at 17,500 miles per hour. This is SpaceX's nightmare scenario. Every single refueling mission is a potential disaster waiting to happen. Liquid methane at minus 182 degrees, floating around like deadly droplets in zero gravity. One tiny mistake, one failed connection, one temperature spike, and billions of dollars become space debris. The brutal math? 16 chances to fail. 16 opportunities for catastrophe. Blue Origin needs 0. They launch fully fueled from Earth. No risky orbital ballet required. SpaceX gambled everything on the most dangerous refueling operation ever attempted. Blue Origin chose the opposite path, and it's about to pay off in ways nobody expected. The genius strategy that crushed SpaceX's dreams. While Elon built a space skyscraper, Jeff built a precision sniper rifle. Blue Origin's Blue Moon Mark 1 isn't trying to impress anyone. It's designed for one mission: land exactly where it needs to, within 100 meters, every single time. That's like threading a needle from New York to Los Angeles, from 240,000 miles away. The strategy is pure genius. New Glenn launches, flies straight to the moon, lands perfectly. No stopping for gas, no complex orbital maneuvers, no 16 chances to fail. SpaceX chose spectacle. Blue Origin chose results. But this victory comes with a price that could destroy everything they've built. The fuel from hell that could kill everything. Here's Blue Origin's darkest secret. Their engines run on liquid hydrogen. Their engine, most dangerous rocket fuel ever created. Minus 253 degrees Celsius, colder than deep space itself, colder than anything on Pluto's frozen surface. This fuel is so volatile that even the tiniest heat leak causes instant evaporation. In space, there's nowhere for that explosive gas to go. The entire spacecraft becomes a bomb floating 240,000 miles from Earth. Blue Origin spent years developing zero boil-off technology, special cooling systems that have never, ever been tested on a real lunar mission. What happens when those systems fail in the cold vacuum of space? Nobody knows, because nobody's ever tried it before. SpaceX's methane fuel is stable by comparison, but they still need those 16 perfect refueling operations. So which is more dangerous? The fuel from hell or 16 chances to die? The size war that reveals everything. 3 metric tons versus 100 metric tons. A pickup truck versus a cargo ship. David versus Goliath. But here's the twist that changes everything. Bigger isn't always better in space. Starship stands 50 meters tall, taller than a 15-story building. When this monster lands on the moon, those massive engines create a blast zone that could destroy anything within miles. Blue Origin's compact design? It touches down like a surgeon's scalpel. Precise, controlled, deadly accurate. The real question isn't about size, it's about mission philosophy. Do you need a cargo ship that can carry everything? Or a precision instrument that delivers exactly what you need? NASA is betting their entire lunar program on this choice, and the wrong decision could set back human space exploration by decades. The timeline collapse that shocked NASA. That was the original promise. Humans on the moon within 5 years. Maybe. If everything goes perfectly, if nothing else breaks, if both companies somehow solve impossible technical challenges. Here's what NASA won't admit. The Artemis program is falling apart, piece by piece, delay by delay. SpaceX has to prove their orbital refueling works before NASA trusts them with human lives. That test won't happen until late 2026, maybe. Then an uncrewed lunar test, then astronauts. Each step is another chance for catastrophic failure. Blue Origin's path looks cleaner. Robotic Pathfinder in August 2025. Prove the technology works. Skip to the Mark II astronaut system. Fewer steps, less risk. But there's something NASA discovered that changes everything. A failure so catastrophic it exposed the fatal flaw in Blue Origin's entire strategy. The catastrophic failure that exposed everything. January 16th, 2025. 4,200 miles per hour, the ocean. Blue Origin's New Glenn rocket screamed toward the landing platform. And missed, spectacularly. The good news? The upper stage reached orbit perfectly. Mission accomplished. The bad news, the booster that's supposed to land Blue Origin on the moon crashed and burned. 3 engines failed. The same BE-4 engines that power Blue Origin's entire lunar strategy. The same engines that have to work flawlessly on the moon, 240,000 miles from any rescue mission. The investigation revealed something terrifying. These engines failed during the most critical phase, the landing sequence. What happens when those same engines fail on the lunar surface? SpaceX has Falcon Heavy as backup. Blue Origin has nothing. Their entire moon program depends on New Glenn working perfectly every single time. This failure just exposed the fatal flaw in Blue Origin's master plan. The philosophy war that decides human destiny. Maximum capability versus focused reliability. Mars dreams versus moon reality. Elon's ambition versus Jeff's precision. This isn't just about rockets anymore. It's about the future of human civilization in space. SpaceX believes in overwhelming force. Build something so powerful it can do anything. Starship can carry 4 astronauts for 30 days on the moon. Life support systems, radiation shielding, enough supplies for serious exploration. It's not just a lander. It's humanity's first lunar colony. Blue Origin believes in surgical precision. Build something that does one job better than anyone else. Get to the moon safely, deliver the cargo, return home alive. No unnecessary risks, no flashy extras that could kill you. The question that will define the next century of space exploration: which philosophy actually keeps humans alive in the most hostile environment in the solar system? History is watching, and the wrong choice could end human space exploration forever. The money trail that reveals the truth. $10 billion. That's what SpaceX has burned through on Starship development. Every explosion cost hundreds of millions. Every failed test is another fortune down the drain. Blue Origin's approach costs less per mission, but offers dramatically less capability. Their $3.4 billion NASA contract covers the entire Mark II development program. SpaceX gets similar money for a system that's infinitely more complex. But here's the financial reality that changes everything. SpaceX's approach requires massive upfront investment. But if it works, the cost per mission drops to almost nothing. Reusable rockets that can fly dozens of times. Blue Origin's approach costs more per flight, but the development risk is lower. Proven technology, tested systems, boring reliability that actually gets the job done. NASA is gambling taxpayer money on 2 completely opposite financial strategies. One bet could revolutionize space travel forever. The other could bankrupt the program entirely. Which approach gives America the best return on its lunar investment? The engine war that could kill astronauts, Raptor versus BE-7. Full flow stage combustion versus throttleable precision. Maximum power versus surgical control. SpaceX's Raptor engines are engineering marvels. The first full flow staged combustion engines to actually fly. They produce incredible power when they work. The problem? They've failed multiple times during critical Starship tests. Blue Origin's BE-7 engines are designed for one purpose: landing on the moon without killing anyone. They can throttle their power precisely, adjust thrust for the perfect soft touchdown. They've been tested extensively on Earth. But here's the terrifying reality. BE-7 engines have never been tested in the vacuum of space, never faced the thermal shock of lunar temperatures, never dealt with the radiation environment beyond Earth's protection. Raptor engines have flown dozens of times and failed spectacularly more than once. BE-7 engines are unproven in the environment where they absolutely must work perfectly. Which technology do you trust with human lives? The proven engine that sometimes fails, or the untested engine that might be perfect? The orbital refueling gamble that could end everything. Two massive spacecraft, traveling at 17,500 miles per hour in the freezing vacuum of space, connected by fuel lines that absolutely cannot fail. This is SpaceX's ultimate nightmare scenario, the orbital refueling operation that makes or breaks their entire lunar program. The technical challenges are beyond insane. Liquid methane and oxygen must stay at precise temperatures while being transferred between spacecraft. The docking mechanism has to be perfect. One tiny mistake and both vehicles explode in a fireball visible from Earth. The fuel transfer system needs to work flawlessly in zero gravity, where liquids behave like floating droplets of death, where the smallest error creates catastrophic failure. SpaceX needs to do this perfectly 16 times in a row. 16 opportunities for disaster, 16 chances to kill the entire mission. Blue Origin's cislunar transporter faces similar challenges for their Mark II system, but they're transferring much smaller amounts of fuel, lower risk, smaller explosions, fewer chances to die. The question isn't whether these systems will fail, it's whether they'll fail before or after astronauts are depending on them for survival. The lunar landing nightmare. The moon doesn't forgive mistakes. No atmosphere to slow you down, no second chances. Pure rocket power against deadly gravity. Blue Origin's lander needs to hit a 100-meter target at the lunar South Pole. The most challenging terrain in the solar system. Mountains that dwarf Everest, craters deeper than the Grand Canyon, perpetual shadows that hide deadly obstacles. One navigation error, one sensor failure, one computer glitch, and you're scattered across the lunar surface in a million pieces. SpaceX's Starship faces an even worse challenge. This 50-meter monster needs special landing thrusters to avoid creating a debris field that could destroy everything within miles. They're essentially trying to land a skyscraper without destroying the neighborhood. The rocket exhaust alone could blast lunar soil at supersonic speeds, turn nearby equipment into Swiss cheese, kill any astronauts unlucky enough to be in the area. Both companies are attempting something that's never been done before, landing massive spacecraft on a world that wants to kill them. But there's an even deadlier challenge waiting on the lunar surface: the life support death trap. 4 astronauts, 30 days, 240,000 miles from Earth. No rescue possible. When humans finally ride these landers to the moon, they'll face the ultimate test of engineering, staying alive in an environment that wants to kill them every second of every day. Blue Origin's Mark II builds dedicated life support systems from scratch, air recycling that must work perfectly for weeks, water purification that cannot fail, waste management systems that keep astronauts from poisoning themselves. Everything is purpose-built for lunar survival. SpaceX adapts their existing Starship life support systems designed for Mars missions. Massive overkill for the moon, more complexity, but also more backup systems, more redundancy, more ways to stay alive when everything else fails. The brutal question that keeps NASA engineers awake at night: which approach actually keeps astronauts breathing when the primary systems fail? Because in space, they will fail. Murphy's Law is absolute beyond Earth's atmosphere. Which company has built the better life raft for humanity's most dangerous journey? The schedule reality that terrifies NASA, June 2027. Artemis 3. The first humans on the moon in over 50 years. SpaceX promises they'll be ready, but they still need to prove orbital refueling works. That's at least 18 months of testing that could reveal fatal flaws. Each test could expose problems that take years to solve. Blue Origin promises 2030 for Artemis 5. More conservative, more realistic, more likely to actually happen. The brutal truth NASA won't admit? Both timelines will probably slip. Space exploration always takes longer than promised, costs more than budgeted, fails more than expected. But here's the question that determines America's future in space. Which company has built realistic buffer time into their schedule? Which approach actually accounts for the inevitable failures and delays? SpaceX's aggressive timeline could revolutionize space travel or set back lunar exploration by decades. Blue Origin's conservative approach might be boring, but it might be the only way to actually get humans back to the moon. The wrong choice could end America's space program entirely. The payload paradox that changes everything. 100 metric tons versus 20 metric tons. Massive capability versus focused precision. SpaceX's cargo capacity sounds incredible on paper, but there's a darker reality hiding behind those impressive numbers. Do we actually need 100 metric tons of cargo on the moon? That's enough equipment to build a small city, enough supplies to support dozens of astronauts for months, enough complexity to create 1,000 new ways to die. Blue Origin's 20 metric ton capacity might be the sweet spot, enough for serious scientific equipment and life support supplies, enough for meaningful exploration, but not so much that you're carrying unnecessary weight and unnecessary risk. Every kilogram you carry to the moon increases the complexity exponentially. More systems to maintain, more equipment to fail, more ways for astronauts to die 240,000 miles from home. Considering the first design fronts ad nitum and increasing social weight, the question that will define lunar exploration for generations, is bigger actually better when human lives are on the line? Or is Blue Origin's focused approach the key to bringing astronauts home alive? So here we are, two titans locked in the ultimate space race. SpaceX betting everything on revolutionary complexity. Blue Origin choosing surgical precision over spectacular fireworks. But here's what nobody's asking. What if both approaches are necessary? What if the moon needs both the cargo ship and the precision scalpel? The real winner might not be the company that gets there first, but the one that brings astronauts home alive. And that decision, it's happening right now, in boardrooms and testing facilities, while we watch and wait. The next few years will reveal whether humanity's lunar future belongs to Musk's ambitious gamble or Bezos's calculated precision. Or maybe, just maybe, both. What do you think? Are we witnessing the greatest space race in history or the setup for the most expensive failure ever attempted? Drop your prediction in the comments. And if this deep dive into the lunar battlefield got your space-obsessed brain spinning, you definitely want to catch our next investigation into the secret Mars missions nobody's talking about. The cosmos keeps its secrets, but we're here to expose them all. Until next time, space explorers, keep looking up.